Howdy folks, Little John in the kitchen, extract brewing time, and today, as always, well, not as always, but close enough, two different beers from pretty much from the single base. And what we're basing the beers today off is this kit, the Black Rock Dry Lager. And what I'm going to be making is a fairly straightforward, just slightly hopped up kiwi, just a basic lager. It's going to be a fake lager, but a lager. And I'm also going to ramp this up into a New England IPA. So got both beers are going to be happening at the one time. Should be hopefully be fairly straightforward to follow because it's not going to be a lot going on with one, and most of this video is going to be on the second one, which is the New England IPA. But I do want to get a record of the video, the brew day, on this dry lager on the basic kit, so I can do a good review on this beer down the track a little bit. Okay, so as I said, that's going to be our base. Our main malt is going to be the Cooper's Light Extract, and that's all this is going to get. And it's going to get a little, like I said, it's going to get a little bit of dextrose and a little bit of hops. I think that was all that's going to go in there. Yep. So I'm going to get these into the sink in a minute. And quickly just explain where we're at. As you saw before we started, over here in the pot I've got 10 litres of water, which I've brought up to 70 degrees. I've put into that. Now, these numbers are for half batch. If you're going to do a full batch, then you're obviously going to double everything. And that will be in the recipe down the bottom. I'll put it in the description when I'm finished. But at the moment I've got 300 grams of quick rolled oats, 200 grams of rolled wheat and 200 grams of flaked barley. Flaked barley is not necessarily something you see regular all the time in a New England IPA, but I had it there, so we might as well use it. As I've got rolled wheat, not flaked wheat, so I don't know how much difference that's particularly going to make. I did have wheat malt out there. I didn't really want to muck around too much with mashing. It's just a simple extract New England IPA that's going to be fairly quick to knock together. So I didn't want to get into too much mucking around. So ideally, if you're doing it at home, you'd probably want to get yourself flaked wheat, if you can. If you've got the means and you can do the mash and whatnot, then obviously you can go with just a straight wheat malt. And the same with the oats, you could go with a naked oats, or even just a normal rolled oat. The quick oats is just a little bit simpler in this situation. And again, not looking to get fermentables out of this. This is simply for flavour and that body and the mouthfeel that comes along with the oats and the wheat in the New England. Okay, so that's on. That's going to sit for 20 minutes before we do anything more. So I've got about half a litre of water here. I've just brought to a boil, and I'm going to stick into that my hops for the lager. And what I'm using for that, I said, we're going to New Zealand style. So I've got Riwaka and Motueka, courtesy of old mate Kev Bristol at the hopping mechanism. As always, Kev, cheers mate, thumbs up, big shout out. While we're doing shout out to all the Patreons, Little John's followers, supporters, those who give that little bit extra, help keep things going. Steve Gregory, you'll be pleased to know I've got your recipe pack in the mail today. It's on its way to you. Everything you need to make up the margin from the recipe of the month, as you requested for your prize win. So hope that turns out alright, gets there soon. If you're interested in Patreon, what it's about, jump on the link below in the description. Check it out. So let's see, we're going some Motueka and some Riwaka, about 10 grams of each. And I've not used Riwaka before. As I said, Kev's out the hopping mechanism, sent me a bag of each. I'm going to do a big IPA with them sometime soon, so I can have a really good play with them and see what they do. But I've used Motueka before with, I think it was with Waimea, which is also a Kiwi hop in a pale ale. There may be a video on that like way back. But so just the 20 grams all up, and then it's going straight in the water. I haven't put any malt in that, and normally I'd want a little bit of malt, maybe 50 grams. But because I'm using the tin and no actual dry malt in that part of the recipe, I don't want to muck around. I just want to leave that as it is. So that's in. I want that to steep for about 10 minutes. Okay, so while that's steeping, I'm going to get the tins into the sink and soaking, so they're softening up a little bit. I'm going to get my two 15-litre fermenters and get them, spray them with some sanitizer and get them draining off. So by the time that's ready to go, and this is ready to go, we'll be able to get the lager into the fermenter, mixed up, and we can have a look at what we've got going on over here. Okay? Okay, our steeps are done, fermenters have been sanitised, so first thing I want to do is I want to get a bag out of this pot, and I haven't got anything to actually drain that with, which would have been a good idea. There. Pull that out. Strainer and set aside, that's fine. Okay, so we've lost a little bit of water there, but we'll top that up before we go to a boil. Okay, so what I want to do now is get my tins underway. Now, the reason I'm using the lager tin on the New England IPA, there's something different. Most people normally you see they use a pale ale or something like that. You generally don't want that upfront bitterness in New England. Or don't you want, a lot of recipes don't have anything really. They're all late. Lucky if you get any boil hops at all. But I find, for a large degree, they can be a little bit lacking in bitterness. Even though there's a lot of hops in the end, the actual bitterness for me is a little bit short. So you do see a lot of places I go get a little bit of early IBU. So this is going to give us that early IBU while still giving us a very light base to start from. The New England's generally a light, it's a light colour, it's a light beer. Quite often it's 100% Pilsner malt. So why wouldn't you just use a lager here? Just on a dry, a quite light one. Okay, so I want to use half of this half of the kit in here. I had tossed up putting this all into one fermenter and just cutting it down, but that would not necessarily work. Okay. Probably got a little bit under the half. We'll just recoup some. Oh, that's it. The other half goes into our steep over here, and we start building this up. Okay, I'll run some more water into that in a minute and rinse it out. So half a tin in each. So again, obviously, if you're doing a full batch, because I'm doing half batches or 2 11-litre batches, if you're doing a full batch, then you use the full tin on whichever recipe it is. So again, we're sticking with the light extract. You could go an amber if you wanted. You wanted to maybe boost the New England a little bit malt-wise, but this is more traditional and to the style we're sort of looking at. So we've got another half of that tin. Pretty close. Now again, I'm not too worried about the exact gravities, particularly on the New England. It's going to come out somewhere around, I'm looking for a final ABV in the bottle of 5.7 to 6.1%, somewhere around there. So not totally going to buzz myself out, worry about getting these figures right at the moment. Can adjust further down if I have to. So we'll get this New England coming up to a boil, and that's just to make sure we've killing any bugs that we've got out of those steeped oats and wheat. I don't want to actually really boil that too much, so we'll just leave that coming up to a boil while we finish the kit off. Our steeped hops. That in, we'll start mixing up our extract with the hotter water there. And now, again with those hops, you could have put the hops into a hop bag and steeped them and then taken the hop bag out. But I've left them in there. That'll keep developing a little bit extra flavour through the brew. You can get a little bit of a grassy note by doing it, just dumping them in. But as I always say, I'd rather see you taking 6 or 8 weeks aging these kits before you'd be drinking them anyway, so any of that grassy note's going to settle. Okay, so I'm just going to top this one up now to 11 litres, which you don't need to watch. While that's happening, this fella will come up, so I'll come back when this fella's ready for the next step, and we'll continue on there. Okay. Now, lager's knocked up. Now, I added 100 grams of our old mate Dextrose in there as well. So, we'll just recap on the full recipe. So, recipe for a full batch, 23, 20, actually probably, I'd say go to 22 on this. The can itself is a bit on the lightish side, so I would recommend 22, even possibly 21, but either way, around that mark. But 1 can of the Black Rock Dry Lager, 1 tin of the Cooper's Light Extract, or whichever extract you want to use. If you can't get liquid extract or you prefer to use dry, then you'd be looking at about 1.1 kilo of dry malt. 200 grams of Dex, and you'd be looking at 20 grams of Riwaka and 20 grams of Motueka, steeped for about 10-15 minutes, then added to the brew. I will be fermenting this fella with good old US-05. I would recommend doing this with the lager yeast, and probably something like a 3470. Even a good European Pilsner yeast of some kind would work if you're going to go liquid, but 3470 if you're going dry. But today I'm using US-05 because I'm going to put this in the conditioned ferment fridge with the New England, which I want to have temp controlled. This one, I said it's more about just seeing what this kit is like. This won't be a beer for me, this will end up in the grubby mitts of the younger brother. So it's not going to be a brew I'm going to really be drinking too much of. I said experimental, see how it goes. And it's warmed up enough now, it's going to be warm enough over the next week that I can't use a lager yeast on the ambient temps. So I will rehydrate. So US-05, one dry pack into 10 times its own weight in water, so 100 ml of water. So we're sticking with the 1 gram per litre, 2 packets per standard batch, and I'll give that, its half hour to do its thing. This is nicely mixed, so I'm going to put my spoon back over here. This fella's done. I'm going to get a lid on there. And get him over. Now, before I go any further, just want to have a quick shout out. I said cheers to the Patreons earlier. There's a big shout out to the 2 newest Patreons, Alan Crum and Mick Woodford. Cheers guys, welcome along. Good to have you on the in the crew. While we talk about Mick Woodford, a little bit of an extra shout out for Mick, because he supplied a little bit of the hops that's going in the New England IPA. Some pink boots, which I'd never heard of before, but it's a mix which is made up each year, and it has been for the last 2 or 3 years, by some brewing association, some craft beer group in America anyway. Each year they get together and they make a combination of 5 different hops. This is this year's. Check out Pink Boots 2020 on the internet if you want to see exactly what's in it. I can't think off the top of my head what is in there. I'm pretty sure that there was a Zucker, there was El Dorado, may have been Mosaic and 2 others. You'd have to check it out to know exactly for sure. Mick has also supplied, courtesy of his Lazy Days Brewing, he's also supplied the barley and the rolled wheat for the New England as well. So thumbs up to the new patrons, thumbs up to Mick at as I said, Lazy Days Brewing. Check him out, does good prices. He's got a nice range of the malts that you can, the grains that you can't always get in other places. So well worth having a look at what's going on over there. So get this aside for a moment. Wait for this to come to a boil and I'll come back. we're coming up towards a boil. I'm just going to add in our dry malt and our Dex. So 350 grams of light dry malt and 100 grams of Dex. And again, that's for a half batch. So if you're doing a full batch, it'd be 700 of dry malt and 200 of Dex. Again, I'll put that down in the full recipe. Again, will be in the description. I'm liking that colour we're getting there. That's looking quite nice. And again, we're probably a bit under our target volume here. Well, might not be too far off, but I don't want to push this anymore because this is going to have a nice big hot break here. Right, so we're into the boil. Not really much in the way of a hot break. There wasn't a lot of malt in there. I thought there would have been a bit more than that though. But we'll just let this go for a minute or two, just to bust out any extra proteins. Any crap that wants to boil off initially. Okay, that looks like that's about it. It's pretty much done and dusted there. Hardly a thing left. Oh no. Call that and we'll move on. Righto, we're all moving and grooving here. So we've come to a boil, we've got through the hot break, turn the heat off. So I'm just weighing out our hops. So I've got 20, so yeah, we haven't discussed the hops, let's discuss the hops a little bit. On this New England IPA. Actually, before we get on to the New England, let's just quickly take a stop here. The hydro sample on the Black Rock Dry Lager has come up at 1040, or probably 1048. It's sitting right around 20 degrees, which is lovely. So that's probably, might be 2 or 3 points over where I was aiming for. 1048, I expect that to get USA 5 down to 1012. 36, 3, 11, that's about 4.7% before it's bottled, so it's going to be about 5, 5.1, 5.2. Tastes alright, there's a nice little, actually there's a nice little hint of hop there. Okay, that's all good. So happy with that. Does a bit of write that down while I'm thinking about it. 1048. Okay. Yeast, a little bit of a stir. And again, people would have noticed in the last couple of extract and kitties I've done, I haven't actually rehydrated, I've just thrown the yeast in straight away. Mainly because I just couldn't have been bothered with it, but today I could. And as I say, I always reckon you really should rehydrate your yeast. I shouldn't be so friggin' lazy not to do it. It's not bloody difficult. For those who aren't aware how to do it, search through the channel for rehydrating yeast. I'll just search yeast and it'll come up under a couple of posts down. Rehydrate your yeast all the time you dry yeast. Don't be lazy and don't do it. You do get a better result for it. Okay, so hops for this New England IPA. I said Pink Boots. Also using Lemondrop and Galaxy. Okay, so not exactly smacked of your typical New England IPA hops, but that's where we're going. I don't have a lot of Mosaic, I don't have any Citra at the moment. I don't know how the hell I ran out of Citra. It didn't seem that long ago I had like half a kilo of it. And I don't really use it that much. I must have given it all away. So someone at home's got all my Citra. Either way, this is where we're going. I've got these hops in enough quantities to do this. So here we go. So I'm doing 20 grams of each. And my Lemondrop is just basically powder. Oh, don't do that to me. When was that, 8? Bloody... The scale has decided to have a bloody fucking shit fit. Are you kidding me? Lucky I weighed this bowl by itself accidentally and know exactly what it weighs. Probably in all sorts of freaking trouble. Anyway, all good. 20 grams of the Lemondrop. And again, courtesy Kev Bristol, the hopping mechanism. So that's all dusty. He sent me the end of his big bag, which I appreciate so much. Kev, you're an absolute fucking champion, mate. As I said, the Riwaka and the Motueka are also from Kev. I've got a Malt and a Galaxy from Kev, but this actual batch I'm using isn't from Kev. I've got so much Galaxy here, it's not funny. Oh, and that's way more Galaxy than anyone needs. Well, not this brew anyway. There we go, 20 grams of each. Water, off the boil. Flameout. That's our Flameout edition. So I said, there's no boil hops. We've got the bittering edition from the can. And that's it. We put this in here. This is off the heat, flames off. Give this a good stir. Basically a Whirlpool. For those who don't actually know what a Whirlpool is, it's just when you stir it all around as you go spinning around, just like you did when you were a kid and you got in the bathtub and you went around and around and around. Yeah, or in bloody little pools and whatnot, and you got to swirl around. It makes a Whirlpool. It's exactly what it is. It's just making sure that in this process, that your wort's moving around and the hops are getting dispersed around through the hot wort nice and getting nice good contact. Whirlpooling for brewing initially was a way of getting the crud in your whirl kettle after the boil to form into the middle so you could drain off without getting too much crud. Now we add hops into that part of the brew day, so it's called a Whirlpool edition. So at the moment we've got a Flameout edition. It's the end of the boil, so it's going into the 100 degrees, and we'll let that sit. So that will sit now till this comes to 85 degrees, and then I'll add our Flameout edition. So I'll come back and do them when that gets set. Okay, we're now at 85. That's taken about 15 minutes to get to there. So I've got another 20 grams of each hop for the Flameout edition. Dop them in, and we will make the Whirlpool. As I said, it's just motion, but basically taking a spoon, stirring it around in the middle, and just letting it go. That's your Whirlpool. Now if you've got a automated system like a robo brewer, things like that, you can get the wort arms, so the pump will pump around and create the flow, or you can just stick them in the same spot. Or what I do, I'm using the Brazil, is I just with the chiller, and I just run the wort back over and run it so it runs over the chiller or splashes off something, so it's constantly moving around. But you want that moving, so you've got that, the hops don't just sit at the bottom and not really do anything. So I'll let this sit now for 20 minutes, and then we will transfer that to the fermenter. So while that is happening, I will get some yeast rehydrated. Now what I'm using is the Lemondrop Premium New England IPA dry yeast, and I'm going to rehydrate that. So now this yeast actually, it's interesting because it actually recommends using 1 gram per litre on the packet. Now the US05, or actually it wasn't US05, but the BRY97 I've got, which is basically your ale yeast, actually said 0.5 over it. So they're actually recommending a higher dose than they normally would for New England. It is a little bit higher in gravity, and ideally I would probably say I would probably rather have maybe a pack and a half into this with what the expected gravity is going to be, but that's what I got. So I'm going to rehydrate that and at least give it a good start. Wake it up and get it on its way. So that's what I'm doing. So that will happen while this starts to cool, but it's going to actually take, actually no, I'm not going to buddy start that yet because this will take a while to cool. We'll come back in, I'll come back once this has gone for 20 minutes and got in the fermenter, got a little bit of cooling on it, and we'll have a look at where it's finishing up at. And that's our rehydrated USA5, which I'm going to dump straight onto our lager. And it can go out into the fridge and start doing its thing. Okay, 20 minutes is gone. This has dropped now down to around 70 degrees. You see some brewers will use 70 degrees as their Whirlpool temp, because they're trying to extract absolutely no bitterness at all from the hops. Don't know what difference this is going to really make. We're going to see how this one goes. I do tend to find for myself that a lot of New England's are too driven by just that simple hop flavour. There isn't any real bitterness to back them up. I do find I prefer ones that do have a bit of bitterness, so hopefully that's what we're going to get here. But, so we're going to now put this into the fermenter. behind, because that's pretty much hot crud in there. That's got us at 10 litres, so I want to throw a litre of cold water in there to try and get this temperature down. I want to get that down under 70, so we stop getting a utilisation of the hops that are in there and the acids. So that's there at the moment. I'll let it settle to see where we're actually at. Oh no, it's around the 11. Actually still quite warm. So if I'm going to get the lid on this, get it out into the ferment fridge, so it'll start dropping down to pitching temperature. I can probably drop a little bit more water into that. Yeah, I'll get that out into the fridge. I'll get a sample and get it cooled, and I'll come back and do a final wrap up once I've got that number. Rightio folks. I'm doing this video. I normally would do this inside, but I've got the dehydrator going, making some jerky up for the weekend. So I've got my sample here. Fermenter's in the fridge, cooling to pitching temp, which I will do later. So as I said, pitching will be just the 1 pack of the Lemondrop New England IPA, and it will go on. I will rehydrate it, so it will probably go on later tonight. The sample here shows about 1056. I think I was looking for 1057. That's all right. 1056. That's gonna get 114. It's 42. 12, 5.2. That's going to get me in the high fives. So I'm pretty happy with that. No problem at all. Could even be 1058. There's a few bubbles there. Yeah, close enough. Anyway, in that ballpark. So as I said, going in the fermenter. Fermenter will go in the fridge tonight. I set at 19. It's Wednesday. It's going to work out quite nicely because I'm going to wait for the weekend. So day 2 I will dry hop, and obviously being a New England IPA we're looking for the old biotransformation. Now again, I've not really looked into how well these hops will perform under those conditions, but we will see. So day 2, Friday night, I will dry hop 20 grams each of the Pink Boots, the Lemondrop and the Galaxy, and then on day 5, which will be Sunday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday night, I will dry hop another 30 grams of each. So that works out at 50, some 90, 60, 150 grams. So that's about 13.5, 14 grams a litre in the dry hop. So it's not excessive. It's sort of on the sort of standard sort of range. It's not big, it's not massive. So and then I'll let it run for probably another 3 days after that. Then look at finishing it off, so whether it needs to go onto a cold crash or or not, but I will be looking at, I will certainly be looking at pulling this one off as quick as I can. Obviously we're trying to reduce oxygen, and I would have preferred to have done this in the all-rounder under pressure, and done a pressure transfer or the whole rigmarole, but that's not happening. So I will just do what I can and hope for the best. Hope that we don't get any oxidation issues. I've never had any real issues before. I've done New England IPAs before in standard fermenter under normal processes. You know, ripping the lid off, dropping dry hop in without any problem. No sign of oxidation, you know, even 7-8 months down the track. So we'll see how we go. But either way, that's brew day done. So we've taken the Black Rock dry lager and we split it two ways, two very, very different ways. One fairly standard, you know, really bog standard, apart from just a small hop steep. And I'm really keen to see how that goes, especially, and again, all the guys at home that are kit brewers are looking for a nice lager, especially coming into this time of the year. Now we're looking towards summer, not that far away, and it's time to start knocking out some lagers. So I'm really interested to see how that goes. I do have memories from my very early brewing days when I did a cracker of a Black Rock dry lager. My brother still talks about it to this day. You know, we're talking 27 years ago, and he still talks about how good that beer was. So I'm really keen to see how that goes, and I'm also keen to see how this New England IPA goes. Simple, yeah, a fairly straightforward, simple brew day for a very complicated beer. So I'm hoping we get a good result. And it's a new way, you know, an option for kit brewers to get into the New England IPA and not have to go into, you know, too much mucking around with brain. As you saw today, the only equipment we used was that 19 litre Big W stock pot in a grain bag. Yeah, other than that, and a little bit of, you know, some oats and some wheat. We didn't need to mill anything. We didn't need to mash anything. It was just simply soak it in the pot and pull it out, boil it up, and yeah, dump a tin or two in and a little bit of sugar. So easy brew day, hopefully for really good results. So anyway, we're done. So as always, any questions, any comments on the brew day, on the process, stick them down the bottom. If you aren't subscribed to Little John's, then you should be. Hit the subscribe button down the corner. If you like what you've seen, if you're enjoying what's going on with Little John, hit the like button. Hit the like button. It'll keep the video reserved for you, and it tells YouTube you like what I'm doing, which benefits me, which I like. Patreons, guys, as always, cheers and thank you for your support. I've mentioned the new guys, Mike Woodford, Alan Crum. I hope it's Alan Crum. I've had a couple of tasters. Pretty sure Alan Crum, but anyway, mentioned him before. He's got his name's right at some point. All the other guys, you know, thank you so much for what you do for Little John. So, brew day done. Black Rock dry lager done two very different ways. But until I see you again, we're drinking beer, talking beer, or we're brewing beer. Good brewing.